Building more empowerment, professional and personal empowerment for the reflective practitioner is about moving from theory to practice. And there are certain challenges that we can face as reflective practitioners. For example, we can actually have expectations which are unrealistic, or in a way misplaced in terms of what we expect from ourselves and from colleagues and from the students that we work with. Another challenge is that early on in our training we can actually develop notions about what education is about teaching and learning as a whole. And these notions can actually begin to interfere with our work in the classroom if we're not being flexible and adaptable enough. There can be misconceptions, misunderstandings from what we've learned from theory when we're confronted by the reality of work in the classroom. There can also, of course, be personal preferences which can become a challenge. Or in other words, the way we like our classroom to look, the way we like students to behave, may not be what we experience. And of course, then there is also things like personal egotism and pride, which can get in the way of being a reflective practitioner. These can actually become barriers to development. And of course, we all hold our own beliefs about education. And therefore, the philosophy that we have about education can be something which can become a challenge for us once we're confronted by the work that we're engaged with. And of course, not least, is life can actually get in the way. We all have families, we all have a home life, we have friends, and trying to balance the demands that education has, the work that we have as professionals, as teachers, can be challenged by the commitment, the responsibilities that we have in our life in general. So the way to try to overcome these things is very personal to each teacher. And really it's about trying to find your own strategy for overcoming particular barriers. In terms of expectations that may not be realized, the thing really to understand is that you need to be honest with yourself about what is possible and what is not possible. This can be very difficult because it does require you to be very open-minded. Perhaps a good approach would be to have a colleague as a critical friend who you can discuss particular expectations with, and they can give you a different perspective on the reality of the work that you're doing. There can, of course, be the preconceived ideas about the way we should be teaching and the way students should be learning. And the way to try to overcome these is perhaps to refer back to the literature, refer to research, develop a broader understanding of what is possible. And again, share these ideas and explorations with colleagues is a good way to actually develop a better understanding of the notions. Misconceptions about teaching and learning. A good thing to do is perhaps develop for yourself or develop with colleagues a set of checklists that you can use to actually guide what you're actually doing. In terms of personal preferences, we all have our own style as a teacher, and really what you need to do again is be honest with yourself as a practitioner and to realize that what you may need to do is to change your approach and to change your preferences in order to meet the needs of the learners. This will require you to be quite flexible and adaptable in your approach. If you have a personal egotism, this can get in the way of learning. And what you need to do is try to move away from that. A good thing to do is to observe other teachers and to see how they teach, and therefore to get a bigger perspective on the role that we take on. And if you develop a certain level of pride, this can actually become a barrier to reflective practice and also to being empowered as a professional. And the key to this is to have somebody that you can confide in, somebody you can talk to about your professional role, in order to stay grounded, to stay realistic about what you're doing. Your personal educational philosophy is something that can become a hindrance, and this can be overcome simply by sharing understandings with colleagues about philosophies of teaching and learning, about personal values and beliefs along the lines of education. And life is perhaps the biggest barrier that can get in the way. The key thing is not to try too hard. Remember that teaching is something which is ongoing. You can't do everything in your life, and sometimes you need to find a better balance.